This is my old Großmutter, which is German for great grandmother. Uh, where were you born? Were you born in a hospital?
No, I was born on a farm in a bedroom with my mama and what they call them,
Midwife?
women that just come in. It wasn't, no doctor, they didn't have, those days they didn't, the doctors lived on so far and we lived out on a farm. And that one doctor, the closest doctor was at Troll, Texas, and he didn't have no car, so he had to come on horseback and he couldn't make it. So all of us children, we were 12 children, what Mama and Papa had. And they was all born at New Bern on a farm.
How old were you when you went to school? What was school like? How was school different from
I
today?
was 7 years old when I started school, and we had a schoolhouse with one room, and they taught till to the 5th grade. And then there was too many children grown up, and they had to build a new schoolhouse with 2 rooms. And then they taught till to the 7th grade. And when I got out of the first room, then when I graduated out of the first room to the second room, then I was a full student. I could learn to be in the 7th grade. And I stayed in there until in the 7th grade. When you was to 7th grade, that was it. You had to either leave the farm or go to Seguin or Austin or someplace like that to go to college, and that was out because we didn't have the money. My parents didn't have the money.
What did your father and your mother do for a living?
Farmers. They raised cows, chickens, turkeys, geese, ducks, horses, anything. What you want, except no goats and no sheep, that they didn't have. But otherwise we had hogs, raised our own meat, farmed on the farm, had our own eggs, own cream, own butter. That's the way we was raised.
What chores did you have when you were a child?
Showers.
Jobs. What'd you
Chores.
have to do?
Oh, feed the chickens, hunt the eggs, milk the cows, feed the hogs, slop the hogs. All of that went with it. We'd milk the cows, and then that milk we'd run it through a separator. And then that blue milk, we didn't want that, and to put the cream in a container, and that we made the butter out of. And the milk, that the hogs got the milk then, that what we didn't use. But we wouldn't drink that milk that went through the separator because it took all the cream out. And we liked it a little bit cream in there, so we always drank the whole milk. We didn't have the blue milk like they do now.
Yeah. You don't get it the
Ellen,
same
can
way
you get out
we
of the
do.
room here real quick? And eat your sucker over
Come
there?
here. Come eat your sucker over here. Bubba needs you out of his pictures.
I have a question.
What's some of the things that you did for fun?
Played hide and go seek, shot marbles, baseball, volleyball, all of that kind of what the children like to play. Shooting marbles, that was our favorite game because we would always win. The girls would win, keep the boys. The boys didn't like that, so we always would win.
Was religion an important aspect of your life when you were growing up?
Yes, we had to go to Sunday school every Sunday morning. We'd go in the buggy, horse and buggy, and if the weather was bad, we'd ride horseback to Sunday school. And then when we was up about 13, 14 years, then we had to go to confirmation school and learn how to be confirmed. And then we was confirmed, and then we was a teenager, and then we could start going to dances.
Oh, tell us about the dances. We need to know about these dances. How old were you when you'd go to dances?
I started I learned how to dance when I was 12, but then when I started really going to dances was around 16. And then we would do the waltz and the polkas and something like that. Nothing like they have now, with that twist and that we didn't have.
Dylan, you're in the picture.
Come here. You need to come over here with us.
We
I
just,
don't want to.
Okay, well you need to sit down then and be quiet.
we just had the waltzes and the polkas and stuff like that, and the schottisch and all something like that we had.
What were some problems that you and your family faced when you were growing up?
My main problems was I had to always go pick cotton and chop cotton and gather corn and all of that, and that was tiresome.
Did you get an allowance for that?
Oh, no,
No? Was it just expected?
that was expected because they had to feed all of us, 12 children. Of course, when I was a teenager, my oldest sisters and brothers, they was all married already and had children, like Frida. When Frida was born, she was aunt 2 times before was aunt before she was born, 2 times.
Oh, wow.
And Lily and there, no one of them is
What's
dead.
the age span between the oldest sibling and the youngest sibling from your parents?
Oh gosh, that I don't know, but Bertha was the oldest, and she's dead a long time. And Frida is the youngest, and she's 85.
Okay. And you're 90.
Yes, I'm not sure.
As of day before yesterday.
Yeah. And I was, Frida and I are 5 years apart, and there's one brother in between us, but he's passed away
Okay.
also.
What was the Great Depression like?
It was horrible. We had to do without, we raised our own vegetables and had our own cows and milk and butter and cream and all of that. And the oldest way we could, you had to have a coupon to get sugar and flour. And that's about the only thing we bought, sugar and flour.
Mine's red.
And them days, when great-grandpa was still in, we would buy gasoline for 15 cents a gallon, and bread was a nickel a loaf. So there was a lot of difference between
How
now and
much
then.
was a Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper, that was a nickel.
A nickel for a Dr. Pepper.
Nickel Dr. Pepper.
Was anyone in your family involved in World War II, the Desert Storm, or any other war?
No. No, my brothers, they were all too young. No, that was wait a minute now. No, there was none involved.
Because they were too young for World War I, too old for World War II.
Right.
When your kids were too young for World War II.
Yeah, right. That's what it was. Yeah.
What important inventions do you remember that were made during your lifetime that affected you the most? How did the inventions change things for you?
What was that about?
What invention?
What inventions do you remember that were made during your lifetime
Stop.
that affected you the most?
Okay, and ask her just one question at a time instead of the bunches.
What
What was
inventions?
invented?
I guess the most things that affected me more than anything else was the radio, and then after that the TV. Because it was so unusual for us to have a radio and you could hear a radio, and also airplanes when they started flying when I was a little girl, and an airplane would go over. They were so rare, there was so few of them, and one of them would fly over that our farm. We all run out and look up and watch the airplane fly. We was always wondering how that could stay up there. And then after that, we had the radio coming, and then TVs.
I want that dog.
Fancy cars and all of that came up.
When did you get your first TV or air conditioning?
The first TV we had, the air conditioned the same way, I guess. That was when we lived at Yoda. I guess that was in the 50s somewhere there. Yeah.
What was it like before air conditioning and TV?
It was hot. We had to open our window at night to sleep, and then in the daytime we was out in the field somewhere, so we really never felt the heat. But it got hot. We didn't have no air conditioning and no washing machines, nothing like that. We had to rub our clothes like this on a rubbing board.
Where did you live in the 20th century?
20th century.
A bunch of places.
No, let's see, I was born in 1912. I guess we lived in Williamson County at Taylor, Texas.
Which presidents have been your favorite and why? Which ones were your least favorite and why?
Programs, you mean?
Presidents. Which presidents were your favorite?
President, or during the war we had Roosevelt. He was the main one we liked him, and since after that, then they was all alike to me. I don't make but Roosevelt was the main one. That was during the World War II, and he was a wonderful president. And also then when we was in the Depression, he helped all of those people that didn't have no money. He gave them a job. They worked all day for $7, but it was $7 was a lot of money in those days.
Which decade produced your favorite kind of music?
My kind of music?
Yeah.
Or your kind of music?
Your favorite kind.
Oh, my favorite kind. Oh, that was I guess in 1930. They had started off playing those Western songs and all of that, and they came over the radio, and that's why I always was so surprised that we could hear that on the radio with those songs, and that it was in 1930, in the 30s, you put it that way.
Who are your favorite musicians?
Who was my favorite?
Yeah.
The polka band.
What times in the history of our country have been most difficult to live through?
That's all going up too far for me now.
Other than the Depression.
Yeah, the Depression, all of that from way back, I can remember all of that real good, but now, what happened last week, I don't know. I'm too old for that, that's all in the past.
Did you know any famous people in the 20th century?
Any favorite people?
Yeah,
Famous.
Famous people.
No. They're all alike to me.
No.
I don't have no favorite. My great-grandchildren, let's put it that way.
Who's your famous?
Yeah,
Yeah, you will be famous one
Yeah,
day.
right, you're my favorite people.
Mhm.
What would you like to tell me that I haven't mentioned?
I don't know.
What? What was the question?
What would you like to tell me that I haven't
Yeah,
mentioned?
what stories didn't he say? What stories haven't you been able to tell? What do you remember that he didn't ask you about?
Nah, that's about it. Oh, there's a lot more, but
Tell
I
him
don't
how
think-
you met his great grandpa.
we met at the dance.
So when they had dances, they met their boyfriends and girlfriends at these dances.
Yeah, and we didn't have a place to have dances in the house. They clean out all the furniture out of the one big room my mom and daddy had. We called it, in German, it was the große Stube, and it was the big room. They cleaned all the furniture out, and then they have a guy to come in with an accordion, and he played them old waltzes and polkas and all that kind of stuff, and that's where we met, at a dance. He came to my sisters. They had a dance in our house there at New Bern, and they just would tell everybody to come. There was no invitation sent out. They was all welcome, and he came to that dance, and I was there, and I was 15 when I met him, and I was 16 when I married him. And I was 18 when I had your grandpa, your grandpa.
I didn't even know your daddy when I was 18.
Yeah, I was 18 when I had Fred, your grandpa.
I know another question. What language did you speak growing up?
German. When I started school, I couldn't talk no English, just German. And we had a teacher, that was during the war, and she was a purebred American, and she would not let us talk German. And then we'd always wait till it was recess, and all the little us girls that was in the same age, we'd go hide behind a coal bin. We didn't have no electricity, so they had the lamps and the heaters, we put coal in there to burn it to warm the room. And we'd hide behind that coal bin and we'd talk German.
When did you learn English?
When I went to school, when I started school, I was 7 years old and I started school, and then that teacher wouldn't let us talk German, so we had to talk just English, and I learned how to talk English. But in this church I went to, that was a Lutheran church, but that was all German. The pastor, everything was in German. I was baptized German, I was confirmed in German, and that's the oldest language I knew until I started school. Then I learned how to talk English. And then after I got married, my husband was German, Fred was German, so we just talked German. And when your grandpa was a little boy, we lived on a ranch, and that was American people, their name was Smith, and he had a grandson. And his grandson couldn't talk German, and Fred, your grandpa, couldn't talk English, so one of them talked German, the other one talked English. And you know, they played together and it was just perfect. They understood each other. But your grandpa learned how to talk English, and then, of course, your great-grandpa and I, when we lived there, then we had to talk English, so we just talked English then. And it just finally got so we didn't talk German that no more. And now, since I live here, I'm here now 8 years, and I don't talk German. There's just one or two ladies here, and we don't talk German, so I can't. Now, if I would have to sit here and tell you that all in German, I couldn't do it no more. If you don't use it, you lose it. I know all the words, but I can't have no conversation with it no more. That's out.
You can understand it though when somebody else is speaking.
Oh yes, can't nobody talk about me. What we need.
We need.
Are you
You're
still my little
stealing
boy?
the show.
Okay, Dylan, how many times have you been in the picture now?
With you.
4? You think?
You sure got
Okay,
pretty
it's
little
4
hair.
seconds of me tickling.
He's got Papa's hands.
Cut it out, say cut it out.
He's got his Papa's hands, his grandpa, and so does Evan. And
Okay,
Shannon
that's all.
has mine.
That's
They've
all
got
the questions
hands
that I
almost
need to know.
exactly alike. Even the,
Any other questions you can think of, Evan?
Not from the top of my head.
Well, that was fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
What did
Well,
you say?
Well, you better have, if he's got it all,
Thank you for
then
letting me.
you're gonna have a hard time remembering all of that story.
Exactly, that's why it's on video.
Right.
That way we don't have to remember, we can just show.
No, this is
Oh, yeah.
What is